real-time AI insights, industry trends, and industry trends, as I mentioned, executive level analysis without the hype and noise, as we always promise. I'm your host, Albert Ramos, and I'm here with the AI ninja, Jason Hess. We have a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. Here's what you'll hear this morning as you're driving into work, sipping on your coffee, or just hanging out with us, which we love. We're going to go over the future of vibe coding. What the heck is that? We'll go and jump right in with Jason on the technical side and talk about strategy. Bill Gates is also back on the scenes. Holy smokes, where's he been? He's stirring it up again, and it's really exciting. We want to talk about it. Pretty controversial statements last night. And then finally, we want to talk about the AI Executive Podcast. For those that didn't know, we actually have a long form AI Executive Podcast that we put out every single week. So we're going to talk about Stephen Bermer, episode 5, that's releasing on Friday, and Jason Wells from AI or Adaptable AI, episode 6, which is coming out and distributing next week as well. So mostly in the finance space, Jason and I are going to love talking about that. And then finally, we're excited to launch the Media AI, which is our managed service product for all things media. I know there's a lot of companies out there that are trying to figure out how do they work on their branding, especially on these social media platforms, and we got the perfect fit. So, Jason, let's start with vibe coding. We were chatting about that. I'm like, what the heck is that? And as you started explaining, I'm like, got it. Now I'm getting it. What is vibe coding?
Yeah, so vibe coding is first been termed probably about a month ago by Andrei Koprowski, who is one of the founders and co-founders of OpenAI. He's gone off and he's doing his own things now, and definitely one of the foremost AI thought leaders. But vibe coding is just being able to utilize natural language, whether written or voice, and start building out an application. And this has been so transformational, being able to get a working prototype very quickly. I was doing some vibe coding a few weeks ago, was talking to a client. He had an idea of a product that we didn't offer, but it felt like it was a need that we could definitely go deeper in that vertical. And so over the weekend, I just started vibe coding and, putting in, designing my business requirements document, putting that in and being able to provide that. And now I have a working prototype by Monday morning that we shared with Nick, and now we're going to invest in. We hand it over to our engineering staff to really productionize it and make it where it's relevant. But it's a really easy way to quickly come with idea to working prototype, and you have, okay, this is exactly what it's going to look like, and then you're just editing on the fly. It is not perfect by any stretch. It does require some level of understanding of how to build code and how code is designed, because you can easily get into a loop of death where it just continues to fail. I was struggling with that when I was integrating Stripe to that. It just didn't want to know, and I had to go ask for some help and be able to resolve that. But it is a great way to start designing prototypes so that you can be able to do that. And one of my favorite things is the death of PowerPoint and getting rid of PowerPoint. And this is one step of being able to get rid of product, where you can now talk about a product and show people how it works and how it's supposed to work without doing 56 slides to show that.
That's awesome. And before I come back to that, because I want to talk about landing page imagery, right? We've talked about Gamma, Canva, and a lot of those that people are familiar with. But I'm really interested in this because the vibe coding. I'm not a coder, Jason, and I know there's a lot out there that are watching that are and are not, right? And it's interesting. It reminds me of the book The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, right? He talks about getting your MVP out there. And so as you're talking, I'm laughing because I'm like, yes, I was working on this and over the weekend and then put something out. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, that's how we're talking nowadays. Like, it's that fast, right?
Yes.
And so let's switch gears into things like Canva and Lovable. I know you have a lot of experience in Lovable, and there's probably a lot of people out there that like, what the heck's Lovable? But talk about website design and landing pages and how this is going to shock. This is shocking the market, right? I know we had our show yesterday and we really talked about the marketing landscape shifting from an actual role and task, right? It's being augmented, right? Thoughts on all of that and how that's being shocked?
Yeah, so there's a few different players out there. Like you said, Lovable, Replit, Data Button. Those are, non-developers. Anyone can be able to put an idea out there and it'll give you a working prototype for your website. And that was actually the example we used when we were speaking to the SMU business class of being able to build a business with one prompt. And that was one of the prompts was give me a prompt that I can build my company website with. And then I would put that into Lovable. So this is how you're able to start building that whole website, build out your entire product very quickly because you have these tools. There's also developer related tools to help with vibe coding. And those are like Cursor and Windsurf and Row. And there's a lot of really, once you have a good understanding of how to code, these are definitely amplifiers to be able to build code faster, especially in those early stages when you're brainstorming, you want to throw something out there, you're not sure what. This is an easy way to do that.
Wow. I know there's a lot out there, and I want to take two different perspectives, right? So you have those that are just about to get their business started up, or maybe they have, and they know they have a website. It's like, man, we gotta AI power this bad boy, right? So there's that perspective, and then there's those that are the web designers, right? Those that are the website creators. It's interesting because as people are watching this, it's like, wait a second, I just got quoted 2, 3, 4K to get this entire website done. But now I know that it takes minutes, it takes a couple hours. This is not a week, month long process. How does that impact this relationship now? And how does it impact the economics, right? The economics of it.
Well, that was some. So I was watching a podcast yesterday, and it was on vibe coding, and that was what they were doing. They were going to Upwork, finding a job that was $2,500, and was vibe coding within the 30-minute podcast. They already had a prototype that they sent to the customer to do that. So this is where the skills are now. Anyone has that to be able to do that themselves. It
Right.
does require some understanding of how software is developed and building out your business, knowing what the right terms are to be able to build that out. So understanding I need a business requirements document. So you grab the idea, and what they did is they went to Upwork, they grabbed what the customer was looking for, asked ChatGPT to create a business requirements document. It built the entire business requirements document, and then they dropped that in to Lovable and started generating.
Excellent. I was talking to Nick, and unfortunately, he couldn't make it today, our CEO and founder. And we were talking about Lovable and just the amount of messages, direct messages I'm getting about, hey, can you build us our website? Can you work through and help us create a podcast? And I know we're going to get to Bill Gates, but I'm going to skip. Actually, I'm going to skip. I'm going to come back
Yeah,
to
let's
it.
go.
Yeah, let's talk about the AI media, and I'll get into the podcast as well. But let's start there with the AI media. A lot of people don't know what we do behind the scenes and how we're helping organizations with their actual media brand and doing something like this.
Yeah, so when we stood up the AI executive, and we're almost 2 months into doing this, we wanted to do it to start helping promote the White Glove AI brand and get people's trust that we know what we're talking about, and we're here to help you in your AI journey. And we had to cut as many costs as possible. And
Right.
we're a very small team. There's 4 of us that are focused on this, but we have multiple agents to be able to help us in our post production because we still have the white glove AI products and services and sales that we need to focus on. So this was our way to be able to start building out that media brand. And what we found is there is a hole in the market that other companies want to do the same thing. They want to start pushing out their brand. They're realizing that podcast is the way to reach customers now. It's no longer the TVs and the advertisers to be able to do this.
Or the
We want
paper
to build that
flyers.
trust. Exactly. So what we did is now we have a whole managed service to be able to have agents that are doing your research, that are generating your agenda and your talking points, doing your post production, being able to cut those videos up into shorts, being able to release them to Instagram, to TikTok, to YouTube, to any of the social media platforms to start growing your brand and be able to tell your story and tell your message. So we've created a media AI managed service that we provide for companies where you can go ahead and start doing that. All you have to do is bring in your talent, have a microphone, have a camera, and we can go ahead and get you started and help tell your story and be able to start growing your company brand.
I love it. Yeah, super important. You're right. There's a lot of push as we saw, domestically, politically, the podcast world is just on fire right now. It's hot, right?
Yeah.
I.e., Joe Rogan and some others. separate shows. We were chatting about it behind the scenes, and there's some big brands out there, but I think we're starting to see some smaller ones. It's a way to get not only your personal branding, but your enterprise branding out
Right.
there. It's just how
And it's
people
not
consume.
about the monetization as much anymore.
Right.
It's more about how can I use that small amount of marketing budget that I have to be able to get the most traction. And this is probably the best way to do that.
Yeah, and people like live. We're doing it live today too. I know we do recorded long form podcasts, which I'll get here in a sec, but people are liking the raw and authentic. Thankfully yesterday we didn't get off that. We're not off the air, right? We didn't get in trouble for all the craziness we were talking about. But it is a lot of fun, and people get to learn more about you, those that are represent the brand, right? Not just the brand itself. So there's a lot there. If it, Jason, and we'll get into the podcast here in a little bit, but if people wanted to learn more about the media AI, how can they get a hold of us and learn more?
Yeah, you can contact us at workwith at whiteglove dot or whitegloveai.com. Be able to reach out to us in the messages. We'll reach out and share those details. The website should be released this weekend. Nick and I are finalizing the last details for that public release to be able to share that. But yeah, we should have a lot more coming out over the weekend. All of our marketing materials to help people be able to do this. And there's so many use cases. We were actually speaking with a few churches in the area where they want to have a Q&A session with the pastor about his sermon over the weekend and be able to have that and be much more collaborative and share that information and do that. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot of people that could value from this type of outreach and be able to speak more to whether it's company brands, congregations, many different ways that you want to, or just being a solar entrepreneur and just wanted to tell your story.
That's awesome. So for all the marketing folks out there, you heard about vibe coding, right? Jump in. We're talking about how some of the tasks, some of the roles in the marketing side of the world are just they're not going to be human focused, right? It is going to be, as Jason mentioned, and we'll continue to talk about agents because I think people still are thinking it's a buzzword, it's something in the future. It's already happening. We're doing it every day. Jason, you're behind the scenes. I mean,
No,
it's constantly
no,
reshaping.
even the super agents, there's a few new super
Oh,
agents
there's
that came
super
out.
agents now.
Yeah, and so this is just a swarm of agents. And I saw one, the common use case whenever you talk about agents is planning a vacation. And so I saw one now that they have the ability to call and set reservations also. So, build out your itinerary for going to whichever location and builds that all out and sets up all your restaurants. And now they have agents that are calling and making reservations for you. And it sounds so lifelike and personable. They're like, oh, would you like to be out on the patio? Would you like a window seat, a booth? And the agent's like, let's put me by the window for three people at 7 o'clock.
He's going to kill me for doing this, but this is so timely. I have a colleague of mine that, he's been interested and been chatting with White Glove AI. His name's Justin Bossi out there, a brilliant mind in the travel agency space. He's created a great community, and he's really trying to figure out how to surround himself with agents. So, Justin, if you're out there, hear me out. You asked me how I'm doing. We're building agents for the travel agency, and you need to jump on board with us. I'm so excited. That's awesome. That was so timely. Okay, so switching gears into finance, right? We have episode 5 and episode 6. We're distributing it out this Friday and next Monday. I want to talk about Stefan Bermer, who works for Corber. He's actually up in Dallas. And for those that are up in Dallas, we'll all be up there. Stefan will be up there for the Dallas meetup on May 1st. But it was such a good conversation, Jason. I know you had an opportunity to listen. You actually know him as well, and
Yeah.
he was just a wealth of knowledge around all things AI and finance and manufacturing. He's really into economics, right? You'll see a lot of his posts on LinkedIn around tariffs and things like that. But thoughts
Oh,
on what
he is a
people?
proper CFO
It totally
that
is.
has
Yeah, exactly.
just dived into generative AI and AI in general, and has really been putting that CFO spin on it. Very similar career trajectory that you have, but having these experts like that, Paul Carney with HR
So
experts that
good.
have just dove into AI, and this is what's going to help, get rid of a lot of that fear, is having these experts within, their C-suite opportunities to be able to tell and demystify and help their organizations be able to do this. But yes, Stefan was great. Has so much information. He is everywhere.
He truly is.
Every day I'm like, I didn't even know that meetup was going on, and he's there taking, giving his perspective and what's going on.
You know what's good? Yeah, and he is everywhere, including just globally. He has a global presence just through his professional career. I noticed that about Jason Wells too. And these guys are just so brilliant. I keep using the phrase AI integrators. Jason's more of the CAIO. Jason Wells from Adaptable AI.
Yeah.
Stefan Bermer from Korber, he is that, to your point, classic CFO who has now integrated AI effectively and very smartly. And you know what I love about him too? He's really pressing, kind of to our point earlier, from podcast shows to that personal brand. And it's not just about Stefan. He's just a reflection of his brand Korber. He talks about it on the podcast how this was just a test. This started, I think it was back last September, and it's gained so much traction. And again, obviously, those connecting with him, but also learning more about Korber and their lifting. And obviously, every CFO wants that, right? You want your P&L to get beefier and look a lot better. And there's something to say that that variable of this very cost-effective marketing tool, right? This cost-effective marketing channel is something to replicate. So again, for those out there with the thinking about the AI media AI, it's something to think about, because your marketing budget, and if you're still doing, direct mail, we got to talk. I'm going to take you
Yes.
out. I'm going to take you out for a beer. We
Yeah.
got to
The,
talk.
the internet took that away.
Yeah, but you also got to think about your channels, right? And those, some are, pay per click, or you're on social media channels, but it's maybe once every month or something. It's just not getting the traction, and you're wondering why your impressions and all that data, right? Like sometimes I'm like, forget that data. Like let's talk about like brand recognition, right? And sales, and I think that's the CFO in me, right? It's like, what is this leading to, and measuring, and actually Stefan goes through that a little bit as well. So how do we measure impact, and they've been able to do that with his channel and his presence. And then we got
But one of
Jason
the things
Wells.
you did say was on the building your personal brand, and you got to talk
Oh,
about Liam.
Liam. Oh, that was so good. What was that
Like
episode? I think that was
that was
episode
episode
3.
3.
It's
Yeah.
already out there for those that haven't seen it. If you're on LinkedIn and you're like, man, what the heck? No one's liking my stuff. No one's viewing. And I think now they just, LinkedIn just came out with, you can see the views of your comments, which goes to tell you how powerful comments are, and actually how powerful it is to the algorithm. But Liam Darmody was
Yep.
outstanding, so authentic, good family man. Funny as heck, by the way, especially in the comments for any of you that follow him. But just a guru when it comes to personal branding, and he gives so many nuggets, right? I think both you and I, like, we got to go rewind this and watch it and actually do
Oh yeah.
some of the things he was saying.
Yeah, like like
Uh,
like you can go and get all of your post histories and start utilizing that to build out your GPT to have what your custom GPT of your writing style, so that it's not feels forced or feels very chat GPT or Claude written. Like you can write it just in your own style and in your own voice.
Yeah, for sure. No, and then we have Jason Wells from Adaptable, so that's going to be distributed here soon, episode 6. I think we're up to what, episode almost 20 now, and we're looking for more guests
Yeah,
out
we've
there
got
that want to chat. We got a lot coming for you all, so make sure to catch up. Get on Spotify, get on YouTube, get on LinkedIn. It's all out there. But Jason Wells also a CAIO, but also has a his finance degree, or MBA in finance from Wharton. So he's super impressive. Also a global presence, and he just launched the organization or company called Valicites, which, both you and I, we've been in the world of creating budgets, crunching numbers, and you're just like, man, this is never going to end. And then you have a deadline, and it's a lot. And so he's developed strategic AI finance tools that allow you to do it within minutes, so long as you have access to your ERP, your GL, your chart of accounts, and things like that. So excited about that. And four-time Ironman winner, and he starts talking about
Wow.
just his experience. And Sam in the background was listening to. We're like, this is really cool. In Peru, and in London. And so he was talking about his experiences with all of that, and I thought it was really cool. Again, the podcast episodes aren't just, yes, we're an AI organization. We want to talk about AI. We're AI enthusiasts, and we're building live. This isn't a hype thing. Like, we're doing it, and we're sharing it with all of you, and helping a lot of organizations across the country and now even globally. And but it's also about, like, who are the people that are leading these initiatives, and that's what I loved about that episode that's coming out. Well, actually, all of them. You get a sense of, hey, so these are just normal people that are taking risks, that are excited about this, and trial and error is like the thing, right? You just
Yeah.
iterate, you fail quickly. So,
Yeah, because you even have Melissa Kraft, the CIO
oh,
of
that was so
Frisco,
good.
that just give you the entire playbook of how to responsibly adopt AI in your organization.
Yeah, that was episode 2. For those of you that have gone from public to private or private to public, and then you're wondering, how the heck can we? I know we've been contemplating. Do we want to talk about Doge? You drive a Tesla. I don't think we can. I don't think we can, man. You're at an undisclosed location. Like, we're not going to say where you are with your Tesla. Um,
It's all right. There's video cameras all around it,
there
so
you go.
you
Okay,
know
yeah, we'll get you.
that's the funny thing is like, oh, you're going to attack a Tesla? Well, you're going to get video taped.
And that's what we're seeing on the headliners now. People are getting in trouble. It's like, yeah, we got you. But the nuisance of it is never fun. But yeah,
Yeah,
Melissa
yeah.
Kraft.
That was a great story.
Oh my
My
goodness.
brother-in-law called me once. He accidentally backed into a Tesla. He's like, "Hey, are there cameras on there?" Yeah, you can
It's a
see it. It'll
computer.
record exactly what happened.
It's a computer. Melissa Kraft, talking about, and how in the city of Frisco, right? She's brilliant. I love what she talks about on how you bring others along and develop others in their AI skill set. Actually, I've noticed that from most of the episodes thus far, and those that we're dishing out here soon, is they all talk about bringing others along and actually teaching, educating, one step, narrow focus.
Yeah.
It's just so good for those that are wondering out there too. Some of you all out there are experts, and some of you are just getting started. Like, how do I, like, this is awesome, sounds great, sometimes overwhelming, but like, how do I start? And so in a lot of these episodes you get that. So excited about that.
And that's
Well,
probably the hardest for a lot of us that have been adopting AI for the past 2+ years since generative AI has been mainstream, is remembering and taking that step back of like, wait a minute, it took a while for us to get here. Like, we didn't
right.
become experts just by utilizing ChatGPT in 2 hours and we were able to talk eloquently on it, especially with agents and everything else coming on. It is a process, and that's what we want to do. This is our goal of the podcast, is to make it consumable, get you feeling comfortable so that you can go in and be able to start getting involved in learning AI.
So I saw a post yesterday. I guess this is like the season in the labor market where maybe people got their bonuses, or this is typically after Q1. People are like, "Oh, forget this. I'm going to change things up." So what we've noticed, y'all have told us that some of the key highlights of our episodes, our morning buzz, has been the labor market. And so it was very timely. Bill Gates comes out on a show, and well, I won't steal the thunder, Jason, because you're all over this morning. I'm like, man, this is, here he goes again.
Yeah, he went very dark, in my opinion. He said, within 10 years, there'll be very limited jobs left that AI can't do.
Mm,
And his thesis was humans were never meant to work. We had to work because of a scarcity. But when you have
interesting.
abundance, you no longer need to work and you'll find other things to do. And thinking of it in those terms, yes, that makes sense. Of there's not enough of something, so we need to start working to be able to do that. So that's why we have farmers. That's why we have knowledge workers, is to be able to build. But once we get to a point of abundance and the costs go down, what is that needed to work? So it's a very interesting thought experiment.
Right.
I don't know if I can see what that looks like in 10 years. It's like, he did throw out, well, maybe it's just working 2 or 3 days, or you don't need
You
as
backtracked a
many.
little.
A little bit, yeah. But no,
It's
it's
so interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely a shock happening currently, right? This isn't going to happen overnight, y'all. Like but it's interesting to think about. It makes you think, right?
Right.
Regardless of whether you believe it or not, right? How close are we to AGI? Robotics are here, right? That's another one where it's like, oh, that's going to be 15 years down the road. It's here. It's
Yeah.
here. It just needs to be. It needs to be the unit economics needs to work, right? Let's put it that way. The monetary side, so people can afford, and it's more mainstream, right? And it's not just Lockheed Martin or Boston Dynamics putting out those videos. Like, no, no, no. This is going to be, and not just military. This is going to be home or at work, side by side, type of environment. So it's just interesting because people are wondering, right? Am I gonna? It's job displacement fear. Is my job next? And actually, Paul Carney in our episode 4 talked about this. Is this AI agony or this AI anxiety? It's like, you're kind of wondering, like, oh shoot, my company's AI first now. We're investing in AI, and it's like, oh, well, I better pack up. Let me start putting the cardboard box together, because that's it. And I don't think that's where we're at, right? And I know I have my
No.
opinions, and I've been controversial about this, but it's only to wake people up. It's like you're going to get replaced. It's to wake you up. It's okay. You're not going to get replaced. You're going to be repositioned so long as you want to lean into this. And this is what we're trying to say: is lean in, be augmented, have a value add, learn. It doesn't mean be a developer or learn how to build or learn how to code, which, as Jason pointed out, if you want to vibe code, it's pretty dang easy, right? You can do it
Yes.
over the weekend for the most part. Um, but people need to learn. They need to upskill. And now I'm getting why this whole upskill back in 2024 was a thing I think people saw. Yeah, this is gonna. You gotta increase your value.
Yeah.
Thoughts on
Yeah.
that, Jason?
It's continuous learning because technology is changing so fast. Like you look at our parents, our grandparents' time, they worked in one job for 30 years and that job didn't change that often. We're in a point now in history where jobs change weekly, monthly, and you've got to continue to grow your skills and you've got to continue to learn what's new and what's what's disrupting. I mean, we talk about yesterday's topic with digital designers and graphic artists and things like that. I was able to utilize, following what we spoke about, use ChatGPT. We were building out a pitch for a client that wanted to use our avatar AI using a kiosk. So I asked, ChatGPT one prompt to be able to create a kiosk, put the person's face in the middle of it, put their logo behind it, and have it right in the middle of their office building. And it was able to do that. So now when we're sending that proposal, now they can see it exactly how it's going to be laid out, and what may not want their face. They may reconsider. Let me get one of the basic avatars that you have. But now you can start doing that very quickly. That would have taken weeks to be able to build out a very custom specific graphical display.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, speaking of the labor market, and we're actually going to have, one of them on the show. I'm gonna name the other one, and I'm going to use this platform to call her out. So both locals, by the way, here in Texas. So Anna Buchanan is going to be a future episode, right? We're chatting about all things recruiting, the recruiting industry, which everyone knows. We feel it. We're like, oh, Workday and all the other ones. Hopefully, I don't get in trouble for that one. It's just a brutal process, especially if you're the candidate, right? It's just a speaking of anxiety, high anxiety type of process.
Yeah.
Anna Buchanan from Fana.ai, she's the founder, Silicon Valley, Austin, to now down here in Houston. She's building a company. It's live where it is agent recruiters, right? So think agents now. The technology now has vision. It can see you. It has memory. It can remember what you're saying. If for those of you that have played with our AI avatar in Gloria, it clearly has the mannerisms, the facial mannerisms, the empathy, etc., which is kind of weird to think about, right? So it's all the variables of eventual AGI. We're not there yet, but it's a recruiter that's walking you through questions. You think about the knowledge base and what it's transcribing. It has the transcriber as well. So very excited to talk to her about that because she's ahead of her time. This is a very delicate, sensitive process, the
Yep.
candidate interview process. And she's learning a ton, and I can't wait for her to kind of share how as she's building. I think a lot of people need to hear about it. Then we have, and I'm using the platform to challenge her, Sarah Anglade from Houston. We need to get you on the show because she's taking a different approach. It's more of the human approach, right? But she's very bullish about AI, but using it to augment the workflows from a recruiter lens. And I know there's a lot of recruiting agencies that White Glove works with, and we want you to hear about this too, on how on the back end you can get to top talent faster for your clients, et cetera. So more to come there. Just as we're talking about the labor market, just know, if you're one of those candidates that's searching currently, you got people out there that want to help, like a Anna and a Sarah, locally, and then obviously us.
And actually, I've got a call next week to help with DFW jobs to help
Wow.
the other side of the coin of the people looking for a job, of how they can use AI to improve their resume, to be
Oh,
more
I love
prepared,
that.
and be able to help find them jobs. So yes,
That's good.
all through the recruiting
Ecosystem.
process,
Yeah,
we are connected, and we're helping both sides to use AI for their own good, to be able to get placed.
I love it. Well, we're right on the money, Jace. We had some good stuff here. Kind of hit across the board from marketing to finance to recruiting. So the job market. But I
Yep.
appreciate you,
As
sir.
well as our media AI new release. Should
Yes.
see more information next week on that. But yeah, we wanted to kind of start highlighting that, if you like what we're doing and you're like, how can I do this for my company? We do have a playbook, and would love to share that with you.
Awesome. I love it. Well, that's it, y'all, for the AI Executive Morning Buzz. As you've probably learned by now, we are here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:30 Central. So join us each morning before you kick it off to work or get on that Zoom call that you don't have your camera on for. Uh, Jump on with us. And then we also have our long form AI Executive podcast. Go catch up. We're already releasing episode 5 and 6. You're gonna love the first four, and we have plenty of more coming out that are just slated, and we don't want to. We'll drip feed it for you all, but it's for everyone. It truly is. So we appreciate you jumping on this morning, and we'll see you next week. I can't believe it. We'll see you next week. Thanks
Have a
so
great
much.
one.